So here we are today with Kirsty Reynolds. Kirsty is one of our trusted advisors that we have selected to join us on the Accelerate 100 program. Thanks for joining us, Kirsty. So Kirsty, why don't you just give us a brief outline of what your experience in exporting has been?
Sure, Catherine. So I started my career in the fresh produce game. I then moved to frozen. I then set up my own business and finished off in the commodities market. So I've had 20 plus years experience in the exporting game and I love it.
Right. And so what would be some $1 million advice you would have for businesses in that early stage of exporting?
You can't underestimate the value of research, and it really needs to start off with desktop research. It's understanding your product, understanding the markets, and before you go off and start spending money on going and visiting a market, you actually need to do that desktop research. So that's your first phase. The second is really around your strategy. Where are you going to allocate your limited resources? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how big your company is, how much money you've got. It is a finite resource. So you have to actually think very carefully about what your strategy is going to be going into the marketplace. And exporters generally underestimate the amount of time that it's actually going to take to develop a market. Say, for example, you've got $100,000. A lot of exporters will think, okay, I'm going to spend $20,000, or I'm going to in this market, and I'm going to try and go into Australia or Southeast Asia, or and they spread too thin. What they're better off doing is actually focusing on one market, because it's not going to happen overnight. It actually takes several visits to a market to build the relationships, to build the trust, to actually get that final order. And it might be 5 visits in total before they actually get that final order. It might be a year, 18 months, 2 years before they actually make it happen. So it really, you have to look at it from the point of view of you've got finite resources, and make sure that you've done your desktop research and choose a market that is the best fit for your product or service.
Great advice, thanks Kirsty. And if you had your time again, what would you have done differently?
I think, look, employing people who have expertise in a particular area, who also have language expertise, is really important, cultural expertise. I think a lot of New Zealand businesses actually underestimate the value of local knowledge. So, and what I mean by that is all business is really about building personal relationships. So if you have a language ability, you're more likely to establish long-term relationships and break down barriers than if you don't. It makes it much more difficult to speak English going into a foreign market because you don't have that same rapport with the person, whereas if you make an effort to speak even a little bit of the language, it makes a big difference.
Great. That's really valuable advice. Thanks, Kirsty.